All right, my friends, welcome back to another V-Rising video. This one is going to be going over all things stats. Now, the game's been out for a couple days now, or the update anyway, and obviously the amount of time you have put into it will differ from other people. Some people have probably already finished the game by now. Some people are probably just now moving into Dunley. But I guarantee that many of you are wondering what in the world is going on with my attributes tab. What is going on here? So we're going to talk about stats, how to work with the stat caps and the changes to the game, and why it is by far, in my opinion, by far the best change they've ever made to this game by a very large margin. So to start out, to explain what's going on and what I mean is here, just take a little look here. I have just regular dark silver weapons and frail blood, and yet somehow I am hitting the movement speed cap of 20%. So what is going on there? How is that happening, and how am I doing that? Well, this is show off really quickly. I have a 4-piece Dracula Shadow set, which if you look at the 2-piece set bonus here is giving me 4% movement speed. Then you look here, Unyielding Charger is giving me 4% movement speed. Then you see here, Elixir of the Prowler, 4% movement speed. And finally, my 2 passives, Barrel Haste, 4% movement speed, and Turbulent Velocity, 4% movement speed. So altogether, each of those 4%, those instances of 4% movement speed, are considered a source or 1 unit of movement speed, so to speak. And the way you can think about stat caps is basically just following that pattern. I believe other than damage reduction, I believe it is every single one of these stats has at least 5 sources to hit the cap, at least 5. Some of them go a little bit higher, I believe right here. So spell power, I think is, wait, hold on. So no, yeah, it's 5 as well. Physical, that's 5 as well. Yes, so each of these is at least 5 sources. Now, obviously, you can have additional benefits coming from elsewhere. So, for instance, you see here I have 21% crit chance. Well, a lot of that is coming from the fact that I have 8% crit chance here, and I have some passives with additional crit chance. But otherwise, and then some basic stuff. You can also have a few bonuses through the spell mastery system. So, for instance, if you look, let's see here. A good example would be here, 5% Veil cooldown rate. Now, my Shadow set is giving me 7% here. I don't believe any of my passives are giving me... Yeah, none of my passives are giving me additional Veil cooldown. My Shadow set is, and then the... Yeah, so right now I have a total of 19% from the various different sources that I have here. So 7% from my Elixir of the Prowler, 7% from that from my Shadow set, and 5% from my Spell School Mastery. Right here. So those ones from the spell school do not contribute towards your cap. So just keep that in mind. So they actually are like additional on top of it. They raised the cap. So for instance, I have 19% here. 5% of that is towards that spell school mastery. It is not contributing towards the total of 40%. The base is 35%, and then it increases to 40% with that spell school mastery. Very important stuff. So again, we can think about this in terms of sources or units of a specific stat. Once you get 5 units, you have hit the cap, and any additional sources of that thing will go over the cap. Well, the thing will turn red. It will tell you how much you're over cap by, and those stats are entirely lost. There is no additional benefit. There's no additional, you don't get like diminishing returns or something on it. They are totally gone. There is some exemption. There are some exceptions to this. For instance, namely, anything that gives you a temporary boost. So, for instance, you see here the tier 4 set piece of the Shadow set says whenever you use a Veil, your movement speed is increased by 6% for 4 seconds. Then obviously we have things like Power Surge, which increases by 15%. I have a Jewel that gives an additional 6%. Blood Rage, another 10%. And an additional 6% as well. So altogether, all of these things give us a big boost, a Veil, the Shadow set, and these 2 right here. So with that in mind, walking around at the movement speed cap of 20%, my base movement speed is 4.8. However, whenever I use my Veil, you can see it go up to about 6, stays there for a little bit, and then eventually it will go back down to 4.8. If I use Power Surge, Blood Rage, you can see it all go all the way up. And then finally, you also have like Slasher E can give you a little bit of a boost. And as far as hard caps are concerned, there are actually extremely small amounts of true hard caps in this game. So the only thing that's actually easy to hit in terms of hard cap is the movement speed hard cap. So any other temporary bonuses to like attack speed and things like that, there isn't. Their hard cap is either doesn't really exist or it is so high that it might as well not exist. So for instance, if I were to run full attack speed, everything maxed out, then use a power surge with increased, attack speed on top of the 15 or 20%, and then on top of, Blood Rage, et cetera, et cetera. If I use all that and then like Veil of Storms, and then I use like Axe Q, and I have Brute Blood, and I have, maxed out my attack speed all the way to 140%. If I do that, I think I can increase it to 273 or 278% attack speed. I think between all of that, I'm fairly certain the only thing that's actually going over that cap is the 10% increase on Power Surge. So I could be wrong on this, but like when I say it's like comically high, I mean it's like hilariously high to the point that you pretty much won't notice it unless you're specifically just going 100% all in. So other than that, move speed is really the only one that's easy to actually hit. So again, the hard cap on this is 8. Hard cap on this is 8. So if you see, I'm going to Veil. I'm going to use both of my movements things here. Or Blood Rage Power Surge is going to hit 8. And then I'll use Slasher E, which gives an additional 25%. And it will stay at 8. So here you go. Oh, actually just hit everything too much. You probably didn't really see that. Let's use it again. I'm going to go Blood Rage Power Surge and then Veil. And you'll see it at 8. And then I'll use Slasher. So there it is, 8. So there you go. Now, next what I'm going to do, I'm going to use those same things. Then I'm going to hit my Slasher, and you'll see it will not go above 8 right now. There it is. You saw it just stick at 8, and that's as fast as you could possibly go. Okay, the reason for that is if you've ever played the 1.0 patch, especially in PvP, it's so easy to hit like 12, 13 move speed to make it to the point where no one can catch you, that it's not even funny. And that's just a little ridiculous. So that's why that stat specifically is actually hard capped at a reasonable amount. Okay, so let's go into what's going on here. So like I said, I've hit the movement speed cap here, and to keep in mind how crazy this is, I don't have any weapons with stats on, and I don't even have any blood with mixed stats. I also have 3 other passives that I can choose from to add on top of my current amount of move speed. So you can understand where before it was like, hey, I just need to go really, really fast. So you just picked Rogue Blood, you would put on your Unyielding Charger, Shadow Set, maybe movement speed on your weapon, and you would go stupidly fast and no one could catch you. Well, now they've kind of toned that down to the point where, hey, it's actually pretty easy to hit this movement speed cap. And yes, you can use some temporary boosts, but they have also been reduced. And on top of all of that, there's a hard cap of 8. So that frees us up to do quite a bit of other things with all kinds of blood and whatever, while still being able to hit crucial stat caps. So whether that's movement speed, whether that's physical power, crit chance, whatever it may be, it's honestly not unreasonable. So for instance, one of the things with Warrior Blood in the 1.0 patch, you're running Warrior Blood, you were just sacrificing a huge amount of movement speed, and on top of that, crit chance and stuff as well, and crit power. But now we can combine Warrior and Rogue if we wanted to, do something like this. Oh, like this, whoops, we already had Creature Blood in there. You can do something like this if we wanted to. And now not only are we hitting the movement speed cap, go down here, we're still hitting that movement speed cap, but you could see we also have 40% crit chance and some bonus crit damage, a little bit of weapon skill here, skill power, some weapon charge, etc. So obviously that's a pretty substantial power boost here. You see physical power up 10%, weapon skill, weapon cooldown, weapon skill, life leech, etc. Very, 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 very good. So again, and also, like I said, we also have 3 passives here we can work with. So for instance, we want more crit chance on Rampage, we can do that. If we want to do more weapon skill power, we could do that. And if we wanted to do more crit damage, we could do that. And look at this, our power is now significantly higher. We're looking pretty good. So how do we approach this? So let's look at how the sources are applied. So armor will give us each piece of armor, if you look at the very top here, gives you a quarter of one source of stats. And then for the Dracula Shadow set, the 2 and 3 piece sets, or set bonuses will give you another source of a different stat. Once, again, like I said, once you get to 5, you're at the cap. And just really quickly, I'm going to go over some of the basic, lower level ones. They do change kind of with this. So for instance, if you look at like the Hollow Fang upgrade, you can see the top still gives you a quarter of 1 source of crit chance, but the movement speed is only 75%, and the Veil cooldown is even less than that. You go to the Shadow set, same, you still get that full source of physical crit chance from each piece. If you use up all 4 of them, you still only get 75% of the move speed and a little bit less than that, or more than that with the Veil cooldown. Just like a little bit of reduced amount on the tier 3 and the 2 piece and 3 piece set bonuses. So whenever you keep that in mind, how you build, I would say early on, it's going to be really hard for you to actually hit the stat cap in a lot of cases, unless you have mixed blood and a perfect weapon. It's going to be pretty hard to actually hit some of those stat caps or multiple stat caps, but as you go all the way to the end, it becomes way easier to just max out or almost max out multiple stats. And how you should think about it is, again, we're looking for 5 units of these stats. So let's go ahead and mix again here. We're gonna mix it the other way. We're actually gonna go, let's go Rogue Brute, okay? Let's go Rogue Brute. Let's pick the first tier here for Brute, which gives us a bunch of attack speed and some physical power. And obviously we get the move speed. Now, there is one way to increase the soft cap for your stats, and that is by the tier 5 bonus, which boosts the maximum cap by about 20%-ish. So it's actually a little bit less than that. But you can see here the movement speed, I'm 8% over cap now because Rogue Blood gives us 8% movement speed, or 2 sources of movement speed. And on top of that, it went up by 2% because the efficiency goes up, which that efficiency also increases. So the efficiency of our blood goes up, which increases the actual soft cap of those stats. So we have a bad build. Suddenly we have a little bit too many stats, right? We have too much movement speed. So how do we fix that? Okay, well, this is where the builds actually become super interesting. We can start putting on or using different things. So now I just took off my Unyielding Charger. I put on a Crimson Commander because it gives me weapon skill power. I put on Elixir of the Raven for physical crit chance and physical crit power. And now I've not wasted those movement speed sources. Now I'm at the cap, and you look up here, I am now maxed out on my crit chance, and my physical crit power is really high. And like I said, I still have that bonus 8% weapon skill power here. So already our stats are looking a little bit stronger. So how do we make them even higher than this? Well, next most important thing, and probably one of the most important things in your entire build, other than blood, is your weapon. Weapons can give 2 sources or 3 different stats whenever they are purple or orange weapons. And keep in mind, blue weapons are only going to be 2 sources of 2 different stats, but you can mix them, you can fuse them in with the Fusion Forge to orange and purple weapons. Again, I'm going to do that really quick. We have a 1,000 Storms here, and we have a perfect axe here, axe here, tier 6, whatever. Let's go ahead and pick our spell crit power. We're gonna pick our weapon attack here, and then physical crit chance. We fuse those together. Very strange stats here, but that's just what we have. And suddenly, and there we go. Look at that. We have made a 1,000 Storms with 2 more perfect stats on top. But we have a different one here with a few better things here: weapon skill cooldown rate, attack speed, crit chance. And so let's just swap our spear out with that. And if we look at this, it looks like we are now 16% over the cap on that. So that means we have things we can get rid of and swap out. So let's just say, okay, you know what? We don't really need that anymore. So let's go ahead and get, maybe we want Bastion because it's really strong. And maybe we want to swap our consumable from this to Elixir of the Werewolf. So now we're looking at maxed out attack speed. Elixir of the Werewolf is 7% attack speed and 8% weapon skill power. So elixirs are 1 source of 2 different stats. Keep that in mind. So now I am at maxed out attack speed, maxed out crit chance, not tons of crit power, but still solid, and then a decent amount of skill power. So what this looks like attack speed wise, look at my base attack speed right now. I mean, this is, obviously I have the Blood Rage from Crimson Commander. I mean, this basic attack speed is very good. And again, keep in mind, I can go above this Blood Rage Power Surge. You can see I go all the way up to 188%. And then we're going to do one more with Axe Q. And I'm just going to show you how high this can go up with Axe Q with these two. You saw that 238% all of a sudden. And again, I'm not even using like Veil of Storm. I'm not using Red Twins for additional, like increased duration of attack speed. Like this is just an axe and a spear, and I've maxed out attack speed. I'm attacking like crazy. I'm critting like crazy. I can also Veil, get a big crit chance. 60%, you see that go above the cap, little temporary boost. So already our build's looking a little bit stronger. So let's go ahead and throw another thing on here. Here is a Red Twins with physical crit power, bonus skill power, and weapon skill power. And I know there was a thing people were saying where they were really concerned that our stats were just going to get nerfed, essentially. They're like, oh man, we're just not going to be able to... It's not going to be great. We're going to be weak with these stat caps. Let me just tell you that is just not the case right now. This is not even a fully optimized build at the moment. It's pretty good. Just for the effect, let's go ahead and slap on an elixir, potion of rage. Just for the effect. I just want to show you what this looks like. Everyone's like, oh man, I'm scared. We're going to get stat caps. We're going to get like significantly reduced weapon damage, right? So I'm not fully maxed out on physical bonus physical power, but I'm pretty close. Weapon crit power, almost all the way maxed, and weapon skill power I'm maxed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop Power Surge and Blood Rage for temporary physical damage boosts. I'm going to dash to get a guaranteed crit, and then I'm going to E on this thing. And look at this damage. All right, so that was about a little bit under 300 damage. And again, like I said, we can still go up on physical power. We still have some room for growth there. We could also use a different blood. I could swap this up to like Warrior Blood with increased physical power if I wanted to. There you go. That was almost 400 damage. Legitimately, that was 295 plus 80. So yeah, I mean, we're almost at 400 damage with a single Axie, right? And there it is again. Huge, enormous damage. So do not worry. Your stats are not reduced. On the contrary, they're actually... Overall, you can make them significantly higher in a lot of ways, which is why certain passives have become much more important. And finally, another reason this is so cool is that you can do things like mixing Scholar with Warrior, or Scholar with Rogue, or Scholar with Dracula, and all these different bloods. And we'll go over bloods specifically in detail in another video, but you can mix all of these bloods together and create truly crazy combos without sacrificing, you know, that movement speed. Whoops! Without sacrificing that movement speed cap or whatever crucial stat you want. So, for instance, a really crazy one is the new Corrupted Blood. Let's go ahead and look at this again real quick. Sorry. Corrupted Blood here. We never really mixed the tier 1 and 2. There's pretty much no point in doing that, in my opinion. When you look at tier 3, it is the most ridiculous mix you've ever seen in your life. Where it gives you 12% move speed, so 3 sources of movement speed. 18% attack speed, which is essentially 2.5 sources of attack speed. But there's this crazy chance where you take damage. If you take damage, it's 25% chance to get like a fading snare, which is insane. And then the tier 4 is both spell and weapon charge gain. So if we mix that with Warrior Blood, just look at these stats real quick. I am over the attack speed cap. I am over the movement speed cap. Okay, I'm not using Rogue, and I am over the movement speed cap. Okay, that means I have to take one of these off. Maybe we throw on Dark Enchantment to make sure we have a little bit more tankiness. Maybe we throw on, and then it says here that we are over the attack speed cap. So obviously, we could probably, that's probably from our weapons specifically, but if we wanted to, we could take off, let's see here. How much are we over? We're 4% over. So we'd probably either take off like attack speed from our weapon. So we swap to this. We're here, but now our weapon skill's over. You see what I'm saying? So we have so much weapons power here. So just because we want to get a little bit better here, make it a little more balanced, let's go ahead and pop our Elixir of the Raven and just look at these stats. 12% physical power, 140% attack speed, 37% crit chance, 156% weapon skill, crit power, almost maxed out weapon skill power, and insanely high weapon charge. And we are still running, I mean, 2 tanky passives. And then we have lethal strikes. Let's actually do this. I'm going to take off lethal strikes, actually. So we're going to put on overpower. Now we're going to be over, just slightly over the weapon charge cap. So there's really not much we can do about that other than, yeah, nothing we can do about that. If we wanted that, we can go 35, or we can just take this off. Let's not break the cap. Let's just do this. Okay. So we're at our max. Oh yeah, we're over. Duh. I already said we're over. Sorry. We're already over there. Let's go ahead and toss lethal strikes back on. We can do rampage. So rampage, there we go. So our critical chance is maxed out. Attack speed is almost maxed out. I mean, just look at these stats. And on top of this, with these blood mixes, so not only do we have the power, almost the power of a rogue, we're missing a little bit of crit power. Do this. I mean, we're still over here. So not only do we have essentially the power of a rogue, right? And there's almost a 300 damage axie without using my boosts. But on top of that, we also gained 33%. There you go, 432 damage on that axie, right? But on top of that, we gain multiple weapon charges and spell charges as we're doing things, right? So we get huge damage, and then we get resets on different things. So you can see why this kind of a build, the build options this opens up are seriously crazy, because not only, like I said, we're able to just manage our stats in such a better way because there's so much easier ways to get them, and they are more easily understandable. So anyway, that's going to be it for now. We're going to go over some more things like builds and whatnot in another video, as well as we're going to analyze the passives, go a little more of a deep dive into those. But for now, that's going to be it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you in the next one.